Hey, this is Lou Mangello from WDW Radio, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Let's do this.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 140 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And to quote Phil Coulson, I've always wanted to do this. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week. We'll go around the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Belvedere. This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Perfect opening there, Rachel.
Yes.
Hey, you know, if Phil can do it, so can I.
Yes.
Well, the problem is I'm sitting, so I could kind of bend over, I guess, and do the... Anyway. Oh, my. So, we're here. So, we're a bit-ish this week. It's a long holiday weekend up in the Great White North, so Mitch is on vacation with her family. She got to visit the southernmost point in Canada, which was kind of cool. She sent us a picture of the map.
Awesome
She's like,
pictures.
I'm here. It's there. So she's out enjoying
It was quite neat.
the great outdoors. Why? I don't know, but hey.
Hey, to each their own.
Yeah.
And as long as she comes back in one piece,
Yes.
Yes.
that's the main thing.
That is the important thing. Yeah.
Don't poke any bears.
Yep.
Yes.
Or
Or tease them with fish.
yeah.
Or picnic baskets.
Excuse me. So, we may have a special guest later, but it's not looking very good. So, we'll see. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about. Even forego news last week, it did pile up a little, but even then, there's kind of an info dump in the last week or two. So we will start with a bit of 10 o'clock news, unfortunately. Powers Booth passed away. This is actually before we recorded last week's episode, but we didn't do news last week. So, but anyway, depending on your, I guess your fandom, he was in a lot of things. I personally know him best from the Avengers, and was Malik in Winter Soldier? I know some of the council was. But I don't remember if his particular character was in Winter Soldier or not. It's been a while since I watched Winter Soldier. And then he was definitely on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with the whole Hive storyline. So he was the older, white-haired, gray, salt and pepper gentleman who was on the S.H.I.E.L.D. World Security Council in the Avengers, where, Nick Fury tells him that he recognizes that made a decision, but given it's a stupid decision, he elected to ignore it. And Malik ended up turning out to be Hydra, because that's Marvel, and that's the way they decide to do things.
It looks like he was just in the first Avengers movie.
So, yeah. He probably wanted to make himself scarce, that way his allegiances to Hydra didn't get discovered, probably.
And other movies that Powers Booth has done, he did Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze, was in the TV series Deadwood, the movie Tombstone, Sin City, MacGruber. I mean, quite the character.
Yeah. He was, first thing I knew him in, he played, can't remember which vice president he was, but he played one of the vice presidents in 24
Redemption, yep. I just saw the, it was just swinging by there. I'm like, yep.
Yep. One of many sketchy politicians in that. And when he showed up,
typecasting.
When he showed up in Avengers, I was like, I know you. I don't
Yeah.
think
And
I
I
like
think in Red Dawn he also played a sketchy either politician or sketchy military guy. So yeah,
He played those parts very well.
he did.
Sketchy so-and-sos.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he apparently passed away in his sleep. So he wasn't that old, which is unfortunate. But obviously he will be missed. They put a nice in honor of, in remembrance of, our friend Powers Booth at the end of the season finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was nice. Then a lot of the cast and people he's been in with on other things all over the social medias were posting their memories of him and condolences and everything to his family. So, yep, unfortunate, but it is what it is. Obviously, our thoughts and everything to his friends and family. All right.
Moving on in news. I've already said I'm not going to Salt Lake Comic Con this September, just because baby, and we're doing some other things that's going on. But Salt Lake Comic Con just announced they had a whole slew of guest announcements.
They do
and
this.
Some of these,
they hold like the press conference and do like an info dump.
They do a loyalty launch, so like, if you've been before, they give you the option to get a discount ticket before they even. I think they had a few guest announcements, but it was sort of like little teases.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the press conference was last Wednesday, and they announced these, and I am sorely tested now. I'm like, oh, I can take a newborn to Comic-Con? Sure.
Just hand them off to Grandma.
Baby's first convention.
Yes, he won't remember it.
But you will.
Like barely a month old, but I will. It's probably a bad idea anyway. So, but these are the guests that were announced, and some of them I'm just like, why now? Although I knew this would happen because I always get awesome guests. But anyway, this is the list: Val Kilmer, which was announced before. Michael Rooker.
Yeah, I'm Mary Poppins,
did a little movie recently. This is the second time he'll have come to Salt Lake. Will Wheaton, Jewel State, Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown, and they also got Tom Wilson, who, if you don't recognize the name, that's Biff from Back to the Future.
Make like a tree and get out of here.
Yeah, make like a tree and get out of here, butthead. Which I've heard he's a hoot at conventions, and again, I am sad I will have to miss. Will Friedle, I think that's how you say his name. He was Eric in Boy Meets World. So, Miss Feeney! Mr. Feeney!
Mr. Feeney!
That's him. And yeah, go look up on YouTube. Look for the Feeney call.
Yep.
Sean Gunn, who was also in Guardians of the Galaxy, and this one hurts. This one hurts so bad. I may have to just send some money with somebody who's going to the con, please. Catherine Tate, Donna Noble. The one con I can't go to, and that's the one she's gonna be at. And then last but not least, John Barrowman, which I'm not as sad about him because he's been here before, and I'm sure he'll come again. I just don't know. Like, Catherine Tate just sort of seems to be just starting out going to cons, so I don't know if she'll be back or not. But yeah, so some pretty awesome guest announcements, and many that are still rumored, as far as I can tell. I don't want to say the rumors yet, just because I don't want to get people's hopes up and then be wrong. But yeah. So that's Salt Lake Comic Con. I'm gonna miss you guys. Excuse me, gonna miss you guys this fall. But I have a good reason, and I mean, right now I'm sad, but I think by the time September comes around, I'll be like, yeah, it's probably a good thing I didn't go. So anyway.
That's a good list. That's a good list.
And this is just to get started. And September, the fall convention is always bigger than FanX even. So watch this space, I guess, because there's going to be more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, less than 6 months away. And
yeah.
Less than that. It's like less than 4 months away.
Yeah.
If I could go for you, I would. It's a bit out of my way.
Yeah. I mean, Jared isn't even going because we need to save money on things. But, I don't know.
It's Donna Noble.
I know. That's what I'm like. Because I'm in part of the Comic-Con closed group on Facebook, and I just kind of want to poll people and say, hey, I can't go this year. Any of you here, I will give you money. Just give me a Donna Noble autograph, please. Yeah. That's all I want.
I need a gopher, please. Somebody be my gopher.
Anyway, no, it'll be fun, and the people who go will have a good time.
Yep. Should be a good time.
Yep. So anyway.
Yeah. Moving on to some casting news, I guess. The DuckTales reboot, if it didn't have enough star power already with, David Tennant and all these other amazing people, they have added Lin-Manuel Miranda, Mr. Hamilton himself. He's going to voice Gizmo Duck.
This should be good.
Oh, yeah. This whole DuckTales reboot thing it gets more and more entertaining before it's even happened.
I know, right?
And the fact that it's already been renewed for season 2, and then it's not even on the air yet.
It's just like, where have people been watching season 1? Aiden.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Like, can we have this thing?
Watching the recording booths don't count.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's great. It's getting a season 2. Can I get to season 1? Like now?
Right?
I need the thing. Actually, no, I don't. I don't need something else to watch right now. If you could wait until after Doctor Who is done, then that would be
true.
I guess that's a good one.
Yeah.
Still behind.
I need that summer filler. We plop that right there. That would be great. Could watch DuckTales and Game of Thrones. That could be my summer. That would be an interesting combination. Anyway. So, yes. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Of course, obviously, he did the music for Moana, so he has ties to the Disney family. So, apparently you do Moana, and that gets your foot in the door to be a duck in a cartoon.
Apparently so.
Or something.
Although he is quite the unrepentant Disney fanboy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, like he needs to repent for that, but you know what I mean.
Pretty much. Yeah. Should be fun. So, and then sticking with the Disney, the House of Mouse, ABC finally announced their cancellations and renewals, and Once Upon a Time got renewed. We're all over here going, why? And then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. also got renewed, so yay! And in a more important note, both are moving to Friday night.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a life, so I'm usually home sitting on the couch on Friday night, so for me it's not a big deal. Unless there's a convention going on. that involves stuff on Friday night. But really, I don't go out. I don't go to the club or, anything like that. I don't go to movies. I try to see movies on Thursday nights when they're first released or during the day. So being an introvert, housebound, homebody, this is not a problem for me.
No.
So.
And, they're kind of trying to revamp their comedy, so who knows? This might bring it back to the good old golden days of TGI Friday.
Maybe.
Yeah. Although that one, TGIF was more, was a lot more comedy.
Yeah. But now the
years,
comedies are on like Thursdays, so and
well, they got their dramas though.
Yeah, they've got their Shondaland on Thursdays.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Roll my eyes at the 50th season of Grey's Anatomy, whatever. Anyway,
The only problem I have with it being on Fridays is I'm normally in bed before 8.
Yeah.
But that's what DVR and online's for. So.
And that was part of their explanation too. It's like way back in the day, Friday night was considered the death slot for TV. But that's before things like DVRs and Netflix and Hulu and iTunes and on-demand apps existed. So these days, it's like, even if you can't catch it when it's on, you can still watch it and it still counts towards whether a show survives or not.
Right. I mean, kind of nice for Once Upon a Time because it doesn't have to put up with the awards or football.
Yeah.
That's true.
The Shield, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean
it makes one night less crowded, but then I'm already dreading putting together next year's fall schedule.
Yeah,
I know. I have somewhat of an outline and like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, and we'll discuss this more when we do our recaps of Once Upon a Time and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the next couple of podcast episodes. We'll do Once Upon a Time next week and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the week after that. So this will be discussed way more ad nauseum in the next couple weeks. But me personally, and I know you guys feel the same way, at least for Once Upon a Time. Honestly, Once Upon a Time did not need to come back. So if this does kill it, I will not be heartbroken. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as much as I'd love it to be around forever and ever and ever, I honestly think it's probably only got a season or two left.
Anyway.
Yeah. With the one it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been heartbroken if they said, like, okay, yeah, we got it. But I wouldn't have been heartbroken if they said at 6, we're done. You know?
It just well, I mean, like you said, we'll talk about it later. It just felt like a nice little bow was on it, and the cast most of the cast is left, and it's kind of like, okay, what are you gonna do with this? And it's just like, I don't know, I don't get it. And ABC has kind of made some funky decisions with all this lately, and I'm just kind of like, who is running your scheduling department right now?
Well,
who flinging monkeys? We'll talk about it, like I said, but I'm just
for our listeners, fair warning. Next week, just be prepared. The soapboxes are coming out for Once Upon a Time. So.
Not because not for the show specifically, just some of the behind the scenes.
Once Upon a Time soapboxes are coming out.
Yes.
Consider yourselves warned.
Yeah.
Maybe a flamethrower or two. I don't know.
That's for next week's show.
Yep.
We've got the soapboxes on already, but not quite yet.
Yeah. I know. I forgot we were doing what we're doing this week, and I just was... I was ready, and then I remembered we were doing this instead, and I was like, oh.
It's like, I'm ready!
It's like, it's one of 3 options. I can't remember which. I'm ready for all 3.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to another show that will be coming back later this year. The Librarians, just like last season where we had a few special guests with Sean Astin and Felicia Day, among others. Season 4 is also going to have at least a couple of guest stars in John Noble and Rachel Nichols. Which John Noble, he is going to be in the season premiere, and that's it, at least as far as they're telling us. And he will play a Vatican bishop who is secretly the head of the heretical order of the shadows. Who is apparently bent on destroying the library. Because that's what people do on the librarians, is they want to destroy the library. Among other things.
Yeah. Given John Noble's, well, it probably wasn't his last role, but it was a recent one on Sleepy Hollow. I'm kind of like,
yeah,
this sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, that's why I was like, as soon as I saw the casting, it was like, I don't know his character yet, but I automatically don't trust him. Because all the stuff I've seen him in, he doesn't usually play too trustworthy of a character.
Yeah.
That's his shtick, as it were.
Yeah, a little bit. And then Rachel Nichols is actually a recasting, which Holly was explaining to us, and Holly could explain further here in a second. But she's going to be a recurring character. She's going to be playing Nicole Noon, who is actually Flynn's previous guardian. Mm-hmm. That won't cause problems between him and Eve at all.
Yeah.
That's all.
You might want to watch the movie. There may be some fireworks.
I haven't got around to watching the TV movies yet, but I think I need to before the new season starts.
Yeah.
Even if it's a different actress.
At least that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At least the first one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nicole Noon was in the very first one, and she was originally played by Sonia Walger, who was better known as Penny from Lost.
No.
This should be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of liked her, and there was some
You think?
in the TV movies, so yeah.
Like, I haven't even seen the TV movie, and I know this
would be a good one
to be interesting
to watch, just to have your homework on the Nicole Noon character.
Yeah.
Set.
Yeah. Yep. Although it's kind of cool that they're hearkening back to the TV movies.
Yeah.
Now it's like we're in season 4, and up until now we've said you don't need to watch the movies to understand what's going on. But there's now the show's been around a little bit, and people maybe have gone back and watched the movies, and they'll probably explain in the episode, even if you don't see the movies. But it's like let's bring some of that in and allude to it a little bit. You might as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and I had completely forgotten, too, what the name of his first guardian was, and I saw 13 years ago, I'm like, wait a minute. Let me quick check. Is this the same? Is this his first? I'm like, yep, bingo.
Yep. We have a winner.
That's who I thought it was.
Yeah, that should be fun. So.
Yep.
The librarians will be back later this year.
Yeah, I don't know. Cassie, Jake, and Zeke might be. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably gonna be like, we'll let Mom and Dad handle this.
Yeah.
Jenkins will be like, I'll be over here making the popcorn.
Yeah. Like, Jenkins, can we get a door to somewhere not here?
Exactly. Yeah.
Anywhere but here.
It's lovely this time of year.
Yeah. See how the vineyards are doing in the south of France.
Send us somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, we need a job that isn't here.
Yeah. Come on, Clipping Books, send us something. Oh my. Good times. All right. Let's see. Moving on, we got our first real look in the form of a trailer for Star Trek Discovery. And note to the Star Trek crew, Ray called and she wants her desert outfits back.
Right? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I don't know what to make of this.
I just saw first they released a couple of still images, and then they released just the images of the one captain and, the other gal in the desert in these outfits, and I'm like, who stole the costumes from Star Wars Episode 7?
Oh no. Yeah, that's the first thing you think of.
Wait, was Daisy Ridley, did she turn her head for a second, or what?
I know, it's like Daisy Ridley, you got lost.
Yeah.
Your movie's over there.
You're in the wrong franchise. Wrong franchise.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry. I poke fun, but besides that, honestly, I think it looks really cool. That being said, I'm not a big Star Trek fan, so I don't have a lot of emotional investment.
I will defer to the Star Trek geeks in my life. Yeah. I mean, I'm fairly new to this whole thing. I kind of married into it.
Yeah.
And we have a little bit of feedback that mentions much of the same thing. The Klingons are kind of a big sticking point for people, and just kind of the overall tone of it seems a little condescending. I will quote my brother-in-law. Well, paraphrase because I can't remember exactly his wording. But this was right now. My husband and his brothers and his mom, they're all like big Star Trek geeks. Well, his twin brother more than his other brother. But anyway, like they grew up on this. This is, what Disney is to me, this is what Star Trek is to them. And it's like they've been burned. They've been burned before. Mm-hmm. He's kind of feeling like how he did after the Star Trek or Star Wars prequels, rather, and they have a lot to live up to, and it's not looking good. That's basically the idea. So
twice shot, and I know there's still a few people kind of being included too that they're only going to air the first episode on TV, and then you have to pay for the subscription for their app to watch the rest, and just like is formatted in that, so it's like nope.
Yeah, and it's CBS. I could go on a rant about that, and it's kind of it's kind of spilled over into the CW with their app and different things. Which again, that's another rant for another day. But it's just like, okay, guys, this is Star Trek. This ought to be your crown jewel in your arsenal of shows.
Let everybody watch it.
Everybody watch it, and you're not treating it very well. And then you, I don't know. I am indignant. I'm kind of indignant on behalf of the Trek fans in my life, and I mean I can understand it.
Are we going to be fluttering the four fingers later?
Yeah, and
begins with I and ends in so. Or begins in we and ends in so.
Yeah. And I've said this before, and I go back to Doctor Who and how they treated their 50th anniversary, and there was fanfare, and there was conventions, and there was new everything, and it was just very well celebrated. And Star Trek, you got Star Trek Beyond, which was an excellent movie, don't get me wrong, but it's like, that's all they got. And I'm just kind of like, this is Star Trek. This is like, I don't know. So it just doesn't feel like it's being treated very well or held in very high regard. And she's sad. I'm sad. Anyway.
Yep.
We'll get to that at some point. And maybe we'll watch the episode and be like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. But anyway.
Yeah. The thing with trailers, it's like, they're really highlight reels without trying to give away too much of the plot. So, like you.
Yeah, although I can say that many fans I know, they're more excited about the Galaxy Quest like spoof from Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
That's on Fox, because that trailer dropped roughly around the same time. They're like, is it bad that I'm actually more excited for this than actual Star Trek?
Yeah, that looks good. I mean, they're comparing it to like Galaxy Quest 2.0.
Galaxy Quest on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
So who knows?
We'll wait and see.
We will.
So, all right, and our last bit of news comes from Big Finish, because they love emptying our wallets.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Although I've been listening to some Big Finish on Spotify, and that's been kind of fun.
Yeah. But apparently the 10th Doctor with Donna did well enough, and the stars have aligned that we're going to get another 10th Doctor series, but this time with Rose. So Billy Piper is returning as Rose for Big Finish.
Way to go, Big Finish. Yeah. Holy cow.
So, Doctor Who, the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2 will be released in November. And it includes the stories Infamy of the Zaros, which will include Camille back as Jackie Tyler. The second adventure, Sword of the Chevalier, I guess?
Chevalier.
Chevalier, okay.
It's French.
Yeah, my French is almost non-existent.
That's okay.
And then A Cold Vengeance, which will have the Ice Warriors. So, and then they released a little trailer with a little bit of audio from each of them, and yep, it's 10 in rows. It really, like, if you're a 10 Rose fan, there you go.
Yep. So. And it does the little blurb here does allude to possibly some romance between the 10th Doctor and Rose, although I don't know how overt it will be.
Yeah.
But if that's your catnip, as they say, then there you go.
Yep.
And even so, this will be a lot of fun, and it's I love how they're getting these new series. They're putting the new series stuff together, like in these box sets, because the way they do it with the classic Doctors is nice, and they're in kind of a pattern and it works for them. But let's be honest, a lot of the classic series cast are sort of semi-retired.
Yeah.
So they can come and do these kinds of things. The ones from the new series are like David Tennant's in DuckTales and a bunch of other things. And I'm sure Billy Piper's doing stuff I just haven't heard of. So, getting the schedules, like you said, the stars align, and getting their schedules lined up so that they can come in and do this. And I guess it doesn't take them that long, like 2 days maybe. But it's cool. I'm excited that they got Billy Piper in for this.
Yep. So I personally I'm kind of hoping that if this does well, which it probably will, just because Big Finish does so well anyways, and especially because the 10th Doctor fan base is very strong, and especially the 10 and Rose fan base is very, very strong. But I'm kind of hoping that maybe this will also be a gateway to. I would like to see maybe some Big Finish with Rose and the Meta-Crisis Doctor. and kind of get a, what have they been doing? Sort of type of thing. So it doesn't have to be a full thing. It could just be like a one-off box set or something. But
or even, because I know at one point this was an idea for a spin-off that Russell T Davies had, that they were going to do. It was like Rose Tyler Earth Defense, I think, and like show her adventures in the alternate universe offensive, or the idea just didn't fly, or some combination of that, and it didn't work out. Yeah. So they ended up doing Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures instead. But it's just kind of like, that would be a good area. I mean, you look at the spin-offs that Big Finish does do, like Unit, Countermeasures,
Django and Lightfoot.
I mean, there's one spin-off called Graceless that actually is a spin-off of a Key to Time trilogy that they did with Peter Davison. He's not in it, but one of the side characters, actually two of the side characters are in it, and it follows those two. So it's like these are characters that Big Finish created, and they got their own spin-off. I'm trying to remember how many series they did. I'd have to look it up, but it's like, they do. Big Finish just does so many different things. It's kind of like, whatever idea they have, they're kind of like, well, here, let's try it, see what it does, and it finds its little fan base. So I don't know, maybe if Billy Piper's available and could do something like that, or even bring, RTD's been in to do some Torchwood stuff, I believe, for him. I mean, not a whole lot, but I think he's been involved, or at least he's given his blessing for some of it. So it's like, that would be kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah.
It's like Big Finish. It's like their motto is challenged, accepted.
Yeah, pretty much.
They need to put that on their business cards if they haven't already.
Yeah.
You suggest it, we'll try doing it.
Yep. Why
and
not?
maybe it'll do well. Maybe it'll not do so well. Who knows? But they try it anyway. But so yeah. 10 and Rose
back together.
Take my mic
in the TARDIS, as it should be. Shiver and shake. All right, that's it for news. So let's move on to feedback.
Oh, hold on. Time out 1 second. There is some. I don't know if you saw late breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, Zack Snyder says he stepped down from Justice League. Something happened, family tragedy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
you did see that.
Right. His daughter passed. So,
okay. I missed that. I just was flipping through Facebook here and saw that.
Joss Whedon has agreed to step in and finish up Justice League. So.
Yeah. So it's mostly done. They just have some to do, but man, that's heartbreaking. I mean, I haven't seen any of the Zack Snyder. I think I saw Man of Steel. That's it. But that's go deal with your family, dude. That's totally understandable. So hopefully this will.
Yep.
I don't know. I didn't mean to bring us back down to 10 o'clock news, but I just saw that on the thing.
Yeah. So, do what you gotta do, man. Even if I don't care for your films. Yeah. Take care of your family.
Well, yeah. When you're dealing with family stuff like this, that becomes irrelevant.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
Now we can move on to feedback.
All right. Back to feedback.
Yes.
So, first bit of feedback. We do have a good chunk of feedback this week, which is kind of cool. First bit is from. It's okay if I take this one.
Yeah. She's your sister.
Okay.
You go right ahead.
That's true. My little sister, Shalane, she's written to us before, and she wrote in. Did this come in before last week or since last week?
I think it came in. I don't remember. Either way, we didn't. Our show was a little off last week, so we wouldn't have touched on it last week anyway. So
that's true. Okay, but no, it's all good. Yeah. So she wrote in just kind of about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. She says, "Hey, it's me again. I guess I'm the only one who can send you feedback." Well, not necessarily. So I have some thoughts on Guardians. Chrissy, I think felt the same way when the first Guardians came out. I wanted to go see it, but I wasn't sure about it. When Disney bought Marvel, there were arguments about it being a good idea or not, and I wasn't too happy about that. But then I saw Guardians, and I loved it, and things seemed to go well, so I started loving Marvel more. Now, I do enjoy Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn with DC, but I love Marvel more, and not just because Disney bought it. They have all these heroes I don't recognize, but they look awesome. I wonder how Inhumans will turn out this fall. I thought the outfits on the posters looked amazing. Yep. So just kind of our general thoughts about Marvel. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. And then one more little bit as a YouTube comment on episode 139, which was last week, when we talked to, I'm blanking on his name.
Aaron?
Yes. Yes, okay, I was right. I was like, I wasn't sure about the Disney meetup. So she says, "You guys always bring Disney magic to me more, and anyone who's a big Disney fan. And after going to Disney World last year, I want to go again."
Don't we all?
I think that's what she meant. We all want to go. Like, if we could go live at Disney, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you for those, Shalane. And yeah, I think we said that when we were talking about Guardians. So we did our review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It was like, well, the first movie came out, so many people are like, I don't know about this. And then, you go and see it and you realize, oh my God, this is awesome. Yeah.
I need to go see it again.
I need to go see it 5 million more times. Exactly. And, so
buy it on streaming and DVD and Blu-ray and whenever. I don't know. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, it's one of those movies I just kind of keep in reserve when I'm having a bad day or I just need something funny to watch. And it's like, let's watch Guardians.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, as much as I love all the other Marvel stuff, like, I don't pop in Winter Soldier on a whim.
Yeah. Exactly. Guardians, on the other hand, the soundtrack really helps, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think it would lose a good amount of something if it didn't have the music to go with it. So
yeah,
I think that makes
it all combines to do something really that's awesome.
Yeah, but she's right. That's that's one of the things I love about Marvel is they've got all these this big cast of characters and so many of them are so obscure, but it's like they. Marvel and Disney have made it so that, people will go, over the weekend, collectively shell out a couple $100 million to go watch a talking raccoon and a talking tree. So,
and we enjoy it.
It's
fun. So. And speaking of more obscure characters, I mean, even Disney Animation did Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
It's like, who'd heard of that before that movie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that one, I mean, I have yet to find somebody who did not like that movie, who's seen it. And if you do, keep your mouth shut. Yeah. Talking about. No, I'm kidding. I am joking.
Yeah. Hey, even now,
they do really well together.
Yeah. Even now, I will joke every now and then if Chauncey and I are out somewhere and, he takes off ahead of me and he has to wait for me to catch up. I'm like Baymax. I'm not fast. I am not
fast.
All right. Well, and we've got another piece of feedback from Brian. In this case, this is regards to the Star Trek Discovery trailer. So he had
which we.
Yeah, he commented when we shared it on Facebook, and then I asked him if he wanted to elaborate on his feelings. So he did. So He says he wanted to expand on what I was saying to Rachel about the new trailer for Star Trek Discovery. The whole thing is just off and wrong for the time period in the universe they are setting it in. It's only 10 years prior to when Kirk begins to captain the Enterprise in Star Trek the original series, yet it looks straight out of the JJ verse, the JJ Abrams new movies. Stay true to the 60s original if it is that timeline. There's a YouTube channel, he talks about Star Trek Continues, which we know about, that does just that. It's just like continuing episodes of the old show. Make Discovery that. The look of it is all too much. I know they need to attract more than core fans, but it just doesn't work. The Klingons are way, way off look-wise. I get not wanting to make them have the old series look, but at least be consistent with the other series. All of it just smacks in the face of jamming a square peg into a round hole. The uniforms are off, the ship style is off both interior and exterior. The only thing that seemed dead on were the communicators and variety species. Now, granted, Star Trek is close to my heart and one of my favorite shows, so I am biased, but it just looks and feels wrong. Plus, to have to pay to see it just feels against what Star Trek is about. Yes, people need to make profit, and I get that, but sharing great thinking stories on how the future could be should be available for all. How many less scientists would there be today if they had to pay to watch the old series? Okay, I've read it enough time to beam off my geek soapbox. It's Brian, we are all about the soapbox around here.
Amen.
So, yeah.
Amen, my friend.
Yes.
Like I said, and I could go on and on, and I say this is not being someone who grew up necessarily with Star Trek, but I guess I've just kind of gotten it from osmosis and some of the things like one of the first things that Jared pointed out to me was the Klingons are wrong because the Klingons looked different in the original series, and this is supposed to be a prequel, and he showing me the pictures, and I guess even in I can't remember which series he said it was, they actually explained why the Klingons look different. Space Nine, okay. Why the Klingons look different from...
There's supposedly some sort of virus, and then when they did the back in time tribbles and tribulations or something like that, or just we don't talk about that.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like Worf explaining that, and Worf, we've been watching DS9. Worf has become one of my favorite characters because it's like he's this staunch Klingon who's trying to honor and dignity and the warrior way and all those different things. I know I'm slaughtering it, and others Trek fans will probably be screaming at me for getting it wrong, but hey, I'm learning. But then he just has these really humorous moments that are just like, that's Worf, and we love him. And I haven't got to Trials and Tribulations yet, but I can just imagine him being like, oh, we don't talk about it, and that's it. That's all you need. Explain it. But now it's like, well, why do you have these guys all of a sudden? It's like, well, then don't make it a prequel. Make it something else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, and I can kind of see where they're coming from. It's kind of like if in Doctor Who, it's because that's sort of what we all understand. If all of a sudden the Daleks showed up and they were they were like 8 feet tall and had sucker or had I don't know what I'm trying to say. If the Dalek bumps were like square shaped,
replaces something else
with a blaster or something.
Yeah.
Well, no, wait. The whisk is a blaster. Never mind. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean. If they made some sort of drastic change to something that's been like that for so long and been explained anyway. Yeah. So anyway, I get it, and I'm going to get off my soapbox too because I've been listening to this, and I'm just kind of like, I am indignant on behalf of Star Trek fans. I don't know how indignant you all are, but if what I've heard from my husband and now Brian in feedback is any indication, and I've seen some people on Facebook complain about it.
Yeah.
Y'all are not too happy about this.
Yeah. I have like one or two people that I know are huge Star Trek fans, and they actually think it looks good. So, it's a house divided, I think. So, although I have one friend that thought that thinks Discovery looks really cool and is personally offended at the Seth MacFarlane show. So,
well, no, maybe Discovery will find their audience, and they'll find people that are willing to pay for the CBS subscription.
Yeah.
Which, again, I've made my feelings clear on that. It's like, that's stupid. It should just be on regular TV. But, maybe they'll watch it and they'll enjoy it. The rest of us will watch the older series, too. Yeah. Or Star Trek Continues, which I adore Star Trek Continues. It makes me so happy. Yeah. So, yes, Brian, we're well aware of that one, and we love it.
I'm apathetic about it because I have no investment whatsoever.
I know about it. I love it. I won't speak for everybody.
Yeah. Alrighty.
I'll say we, as in me and my husband.
Well, thanks to the folks that did send us some feedback. So
yeah, thank you, people.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. So,
it's fun to get feedback.
See, Shalane, you're not the only one to send us feedback. You're just the one that sends us feedback most often.
You set the precedent. You set the example. So that's just as well.
Yes. All good. All good in the hood. All right. Well, let's.
And if you would like to send us feedback, you can email us. 5ishfangirls@gmail.com is our email address, or give us comments on Facebook or YouTube.
Send us a message on Facebook. That's what Brian did. So.
Yeah. Yep. So that is definitely feedback.
Yep. It all counts. So.
Indeed, it does.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on from Star Trek to the other star, that other star franchise, Star Wars. So coming up as we're recording this week is again, it's a somewhat of a point of contention for some of the fandom, but we May the 4th, people like to call it Star Wars Day because it's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. But there is another camp that thinks that May 25th, am I right? 24th, 25th, something like that. Sometime this week, the date that A New Hope was released is really Star Wars Day. So that is coming up this week, and it just so happens that this year is the 40th anniversary of the release of A New Hope. So kind of a big deal. So they played that up quite a bit at Star Wars Celebration last month. So we decided that we would help celebrate all things Star Wars and that anniversary by focusing on it. Obviously, we discussed Star Wars with the release of the last two movies. We discussed Episode 7 and Rogue One. But the franchise as a whole, we haven't really touched on. And Chauncey was going to join us, but because Star Wars is his thing. If there's the biggest Star Wars fan I know, it is my husband. So, Star Wars to him is what Star Trek is to Chrissy's husband.
Yep.
It's kind of a big deal.
Jared does love Star Wars as well. Yeah. They happily coexist in our household.
Yeah. Which in some households that's not a thing. There's a Star Wars versus Star Trek is a thing.
Sometimes there's a strict divide. Most of my friends were in the both camp. We can happily live together with both of the Star verses.
Yeah.
No problems.
Yeah. I know I can. So.
Yeah.
Although I think I've known of actually Star Trek longer, just because my dad has always watched Star Trek, and as a kid, I grew up under his roof, so if the TV was on and it wasn't on Mr. Rogers on PBS, then it was watching episodes of Star Trek, whether it was reruns of the original series or Next Gen, because I'm old enough to have been alive when Next Gen was new.
Yep.
So, but we weren't really a Star Wars household until my brother discovered it and brought it in to the house. And honestly, I don't know where he discovered it from. It may have been friends at school or something. I'm not entirely sure, but he definitely loved it. And again, it was kind of like Star Trek, where I'm apathetic to it, kind of. So since then, I've grown more fond, obviously. So I have a BB-8 phone case for a reason. So
BB-8 is my screensaver.
Yeah, he's a precious cinnamon roll, and we do not deserve him.
Exactly.
But
He's R2-D2, the run for his money for favorite droid.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. So, but
I think there needs to be some kind of little short video of a 2D2 and BB-8 learning to deal with R2 more than BB-8 learning to be the he's not the cutest droid in town anymore.
Yeah.
or a little clip of short of R2-D2 showing BB-8 how to annoy said protocol droid. Keep him on his toes for me.
So what about you guys? Where does your relationship with
me and Star Wars? Okay, so that was. I have to think how to best explain this, and maybe I'm overthinking this too much. It was Star Trek and Star Wars. Those were both something that my dad watched. And in my mind, when I was growing up, and I don't know where this came from, I mean, I'm sure Dad would have been fine if I'd come in and started watching something with him. It just in my mind is like, oh, that's something Dad watches. I have no interest in it. And it's just because my dad watched it, which is really silly because I'd watch other things. I'd watch like John Wayne movies with him. No problem. But, if Star Wars was on or if he was watching Star Trek, I was like, I don't care. Go in the other room. So I didn't really get to see Star Wars. The special editions came out and I was 12. And my dad was like, he was so excited. He was like, I'm going to take my kids to go see Star Wars in the theater on the big screen. Because this is a cultural touchstone and all these things. Like, okay, yeah, Dad, sure, anything for a night at the movies. I'm cool with this. And then we went and saw it. I mean, and at that point, it was like, what were we? It was 97, so it'd been out for 20 years. And so at that point, we'd been to the movies and we'd seen all kinds of amazing, cool stuff. And like, yeah, that's just what you see at the movies. And then we saw Star Wars, and I don't know how my siblings were. I was just kind of like, hey, this is cooler than I thought it was. Mm-hmm. And then Empire Strikes Back, the special edition of that came out. And like I had not seen the original theatrical pre-special edition. I just never did. I never really saw it. And I know that's probably sacrilege to some people. But Empire came out in the theaters, and I was mad because I was like, how dare this movie end like that? Like, where's Han Solo? What is going on? This isn't right. The Empire won. I was so ticked off. And then for reasons I don't remember, we didn't get to see Return of the Jedi in theaters.
Oh, no.
I don't know why we didn't. I couldn't tell you. It just didn't happen. You're
that's
that
a
age
long time for a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Yes. But then I think that Christmas we got the VHS's box set.
Oh, the special
and that
editions.
was like, okay, yeah, the special editions. So then I sat down and watched it. I'm like, I love Return of the Jedi. I like my movies to have happy endings. I don't care if it's a cliffhanger and there's going to be more to come. I don't like it. I mean, now I get it and I understand more. But I was just 12-year-old me was livid that this was a thing. And so anyway, so by that point, I'm like, yes, I get Star Wars, I love it, and I can't wait. They said, they're going to do the prequels, and Phantom Menace is coming out, and I'm like, sweet. And look at us now. Although I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, because I love Obi-Wan in the original trilogy, and then you get to see him in the prequels, and it's just like, this is so cool.
Well, and just knowing in the prequels that Obi-Wan had a bit of snark to him.
Yes.
That fit. I was like, yep, I can see that. It works. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. My Star Wars story. Tender age of 3. Yes, I'm going to be dating myself. Watched it with Dad on the beta copy of the theatrical release. Now, for those of you listeners who are wondering what's beta, that was the precursor to VHS tape. So, basically, yeah, I watched that pretty much for a steady diet when I was about 3. Kind of had the movie memorized. Remember, I think in '83 when Empire Strikes Back came out, I might have seen it in the theater, it might have been rental, but I vaguely remember seeing Return of the Jedi in movie theaters. Fell in love, Ewoks, yay, my thing. And then the books.
I know, they're so cute.
Yes, the books, the comics. Yeah, sat in line my freshman year in college for tickets to see Phantom Menace. Went to the afternoon showing that afternoon when everybody else was waiting in line for tickets to see the movie that evening. My friends and I were like, we want tickets for the first showing that you have, and we don't want it. So, yeah. Haven't looked back since. Lost track a bit of the book series in the expanded universe, but now have made my way back and am slowly playing catch up now with the older and now the new reboot. The whole discussion on expanded universe legends and with the new movies, that's topic for discussion for a whole another podcast later down the road. Let me just put it that way. So I think people will be glad. Spoilers. Don't know if they're going to go with this with the movie route, but yeah, in the comic books, Luke did turn dark side and then did come back. If you're interested in reading that, it's the Dark Empire saga.
I have a lot of the novels, like I have them on ebook.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't gotten around to reading them because, holy cow, there are so many.
Yes,
but
yes.
I've read some.
Yeah.
I just have to think what
good ones to read. The Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn. Spectres of the Past. He has a new Thrawn book out that is, I think, kind of takes place before Rogue One and A New Hope, if memory serves. 8 chapters in it. I think that's the way the timeline is driving up.
Yeah.
Kevin J. Anderson has written some good stuff. Jedi Academy trilogy and that. And he is also a Wisconsin native, even though he is now living, I think, out in Arizona. So.
Yeah, he comes to Salt Lake Comic-Con a lot with he has his own indie. Well, he has an indie press.
The Wordfire.
Yeah, Wordfire Press and others. He hosts them in his booth, and we know a lot of those folks, and they're good people.
Yeah.
So
I think Timothy Zahn's coming to PopCon this year, so
I think so. Yeah,
I think he might be coming to Salt Lake Comic Con as well. Although I did see that. I mean, even though the Thrawn trilogy is technically not canon anymore, apparently Thrawn is in
Rebels.
Rebels.
The character is
the animated one.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the character at very least is now canon. So
yeah, and
so it's like when they.
Oh, go ahead. Finish up.
I was going to say, even though they they made all that extended universe not canon, they're still bringing stuff from it into the series.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
which makes sense. I mean, I know people were upset when they said that, oh, that doesn't count anymore, we're not going to use it. But it's like, but there's so much there, they almost can't, because it would either there'd be no room for anything original, but then they can still go to the well and borrow from it and bring it back in.
Yeah. Well,
so
I
it's
mean,
like, I think it's a good way to do it.
Well, and then look at it like the DC Marvelverse alternate universe.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, even Disney, they own Star Wars and Marvel. They're doing the same thing with Marvel, where Marvel, even if you've got, like the main line or whatever, if you don't count like the New 52s and all the other alternate, universe and alternate timelines, they're cherry picking and putting that into the MCU. So, for them to do the same thing with Star Wars is, when considering the amount of material to pick from, and at least as far as my understanding with the books, the Star Wars novels and all that, that at one point George Lucas, would just go write whatever, and didn't bother to check to see if things actually were the way he has them in his head.
Right.
Because he's like J.K. Rowling, with Harry Potter, he knows this universe inside and out. He knows what's canon, what isn't, the names and species of everything and every character ever. So the canon, as far as the extended universe for Star Wars, their canon got wonky back in the day. So for Disney to kind of ignore that is, I don't think, that big a deal, just because the canon's very muddy.
A couple of different young adult books that I have before the Thrawn trilogy first came out. That was really wonky. And then they kind of got their act together and kind of made it line up, but then there was still some wonky stuff, but not too horrible. The only series that you can't find in ebook format, which is a shame, is the Young Jedi Knights Academy Saga by Kevin J. Anderson and his wife Rebecca Moesta. It's like 14 books that kind of deal with Luke teaching Jaina, Jason, Anakin, and a group of their friends in the academy and some of the adventures that the solo kids go on. Great read. Hopefully some libraries still have them available that you can find them or pick up paperbacks, cheap. They're worth the read. I mean, it might be a little bit wibbly wobbly, wonky with the timeline, but I really enjoyed them, and I'm lucky enough to still have my science fiction book club omnibus copies. My paperbacks are buried somewhere.
I think I read a few. I think my library school had a few, and I was confused because it wasn't in any kind of order.
There's an order to them.
Like, wait, what's going on here?
Oh, yeah. Goodreads has the order. I was just looking it up, seeing oh yeah,
there's like
you're
14
right.
books.
You cannot do books anywhere. Yeah. Like I just clicked on Amazon. Yeah, paperback from $871.
That's a bit high for a book.
Yeah,
bit high.
Kindle format.
That'd be nice.
Poor Favor. Thank you.
Although some of these others, it looks like there's one from $1.99, 99 cents. There's the paperback. So I'm like, okay, you probably could get them fairly cheap on Amazon, but those are, get them used or something. So they're there. You just have to look for them.
Right. Yeah. Or unless, a Star Wars bibliophile fan who wouldn't mind lending you from their personal library.
They'll probably make you sign a waiver and put down collateral.
Probably. I had a friend in high school that she had a big collection of Star Wars Extended Universe books. And I'd go to her house and just look at her bookshelf and be like, alrighty then. Because again, I didn't really get it until
funny you should
until the last few years. So
in high school, I just happened to have one of my Expanded Universe books sitting at where I was going to eat for lunch. When I come back, my book's halfway down the table. It's like, can I have that back? Somebody was already starting to read it from where I didn't have my bookmark. I'm just like, can I have my book back? I'm a big fan of it. I'm like, that's great. I want my book back.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll lend it to you when I'm done, but I want to read during my lunch hour.
Yeah. Look at your own.
Yes. Don't make me turn into Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Please. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always funny when I talk Star Wars with my friends because I'm always the youngest. It's like, and the original trilogy was all out by the time I was born.
I can remember going to see the re-releases of the special editions with my dad, and I had kind of glanced a peek, and I could see my dad watching me. He's like, cool. It's like, it's just so cool because I remember when you were younger watching it at home, but now seeing you fixed just like you were, but now older. So cool. I'm like, thanks, Dad.
Yeah, I've been mostly learning everything from Chauncey. Like I said, my brother was the Star Wars fan, at least when we were growing up, and then he still likes it, but he's kind of grown out of it and moved on to other things, because that's just the way my brother is. He bounces from fandom to fandom. But Chauncey was telling me last night, he's like, yeah, I remember going to see Star Wars in the movie theater when he was a kid. And he did, I remember, I don't know if he was in the theaters or if he had them on VHS of it. He was like 4 the first time he ever watched Star Wars, and he was hooked pretty much from the start. And I
don't know if it's just something about seeing that ship when it, the Star Destroyer when it comes across.
Yeah.
Like seeing C-3PO and R2-D2, or for some, Darth Vader coming through after the stormtroopers bust their way.
Yeah.
into the Dantooine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was telling me, it's like, he discovered Star Wars, and then he has memories of being a kid and being out, like at the mall or something with his mom and dad, and he'd see like a piece of architecture or something and be like, in his little childhood mind, it'd be like, is that related to Star Wars? Because it'd be something like futuristic looking. Oh. You get introduced to something so fantastical, and then your imagination just goes wild with trying to continue this world building that you saw. That it stuck with him.
I think part of it for me was realizing that these movies, and I don't know, maybe this is just sort of showing how because I came to it later, just kind of thinking about like, how did they do that with 1970s technology?
Oh yeah,
because I mean you see those and you're just, I mean, even if you've ever seen those special editions, and I have later, I did find out my aunt had the non-special edition on VHS, like that was, and I watched it and I was like, this is so different, but it's so cool anyway. But seeing all those effects and things, like, how did you do that in 1977? I mean, nowadays we're all like, oh, it's just CGI. We know how that works.
Well, and the cool thing is they did that all in house and then formed their own, which is now ILM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a little, not quite an indie movie, but it might as well have been at the time. And it's just like, how in the world did you do all that?
Yeah.
And then the story was just, pretty straightforward and simple. The princess sends the plans off. She gets captured, and the Han Solo and Luke have to go rescue her, but she's not. I mean, she ends up rescuing them at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's all three of them working together. Well, no, but it's like they're all on the same team. They're all working together as a team, and it's kind of neat. And then you have the droids and the Wookiees and the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
There is versions out of the theatrical versions on DVD. I can't remember if it was like the 20th or 25th. There was some anniversary where they released 2-disc sets of New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Disc 1 had the special editions, and Disc 2 had the original theatrical. I have them, and I am guarding those.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
Because those are out of print.
Yeah. So we've got...
And the prices for those, that's sticker shock too, for how much.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
I bet.
We've got...
I know Disney's making money hand over fist with all of this Star Wars stuff, but I'm like, guys, you don't realize how much money you would make if you just put those theatrical versions out on Blu-ray, DVD, streaming, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's like some rights issue with 20th Century Fox, but
everybody's begging, yeah, we love the special editions, but we want the theatrical too.
Yeah.
Some of us grew up on the theatrical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
the closest we've come, I have to tell this story. So last year, or no, year before that, because we weren't married yet, but we went up to Boise to visit some of Jared's family, and they were doing some big family thing, and we were engaged, so I'm part of the family regardless. So we all went up for the weekend to go see Jared's cousins, and they're doing some family stuff. And one of his uncles, I think it was one of his uncles, said he had the Star Wars non-specialized or despecialized editions. It was like someone had taken the special editions and despecialized them, and they were on his hard drive. We would just, and he would be willing to give us a copy. We just needed to get a hard drive, or a portable hard drive to transfer it. We were in Boise, and it was like we were out to dinner, and he told us this, and we're like, it was like 8:00 some night, and we're like, okay, we got to go find a Best Buy somewhere nearby. None of us are from Boise.
And hope it's still open.
Although, one of the cousins said, oh, there's one over on such and such a road. And we drove up with Jared's parents, and we're like, can we borrow the car and go over to Best Buy and get this? And we were leaving the next day.
I understand.
And, the transfer would take so long. So we had to go get it now so he could do it overnight. And and it was just, and now we have them on our hard drive. And I'm like, that's the closest we've come. And it was like we were so determined to get this that we went and tracked down a portable hard drive in Boise when we were there.
I guess that hard drive is being babied like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think we kept a copy. I think we gave it to Jared's twin brother so they could have a copy. So we've been making copies of it so we don't lose it.
Smart idea.
And I don't know if that's and I don't feel bad about it because the theatrical versions are available nowhere in official terms. So I don't see it as piracy. I'd be willing to give them my money if they would just put it out and available for purchase. So, yeah.
Yeah, You have to wonder what's a bigger point of contention with the Star Wars fans, the prequel trilogy or the George Lucas remastered original trilogy with all the added CGI and the Hayden Christensen ghost and everything. It's like
I'd have to say probably 50-50.
Probably.
I think more so with some of the stuff that got added into the original trilogy movies. I've come to terms with the prequels.
Yeah.
I mean,
the prequels have their high points. Like we said, Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah.
I mean, I have a couple points of contention with Return of the Jedi. I mean, redoing the Jabba the Hutt dance scene, we didn't need that extra musical number. No. And changing the ending of the Ewok celebration music in that at the end. Yeah. I was not a happy camper because I liked the music with the Ewok tribal singing and all that. But that's just me. Yes, Return of the Jedi is near and dear to my heart. I'm proud to admit it.
Hey, that's just fine.
So yes, I have both versions of soundtrack. I have the special edition soundtrack and the theatrical soundtrack. So depending on which mood I'm in.
Yep.
That's the one good. I think that's one of the high points of the prequel trilogy is the music. I think that's one of the best things about the prequels.
Back to do it. I mean,
yeah. Because it does have really good music.
Fact, well, I mean, it's John Williams, so obviously. I don't know if anybody out there's ever watched any Nostalgia Critic videos, or if that's your thing. But one of my favorite videos of his is he does a top 11 good things about the prequels, and it's funny because like he's at the beginning of the video he suggests that first he has the audacity to suggest that there is anything good about the prequels, and so he acknowledges that people really don't like them, but then he points out a lot of different things, and the music 5 because he starts out with the duel at the end of the first movie, Phantom Menace.
Yep.
And he talks about how it's just the choreography and things, and he includes Duel of the Fates in there, and just a bunch of different things. So that'd be a fun video for anybody who's interested to watch about that. And then
we also have Weird Al Yankovic's tribute to the first Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Yep.
His version of American Pie. Oh, so awesome.
Yeah. Well, and then Yoda as well. So,
Yoda.
Yeah. The Star Wars it's so rich, not just with the movies, and especially now that we're getting more. We've had The Force Awakens and Rogue One, and now we're getting the Last Jedi later this year. And then we've got the 2 animated series, which are canon. But there's so much fan-made stuff out there that, some of it's, funny, some of it's sad, some of it is, what was it, like several years ago that there was like an internet like thing, I don't know if it was people on Reddit or whatever, but they broke up the script and they gave people like 30 seconds and they had to film it and then they pieced the whole thing together. I think it was New Hope, I think is what it was.
Possibly.
I'll have to see if I can find that. I'm sure it's probably still up on the internet somewhere. It was this whole like fan-driven thing where they took like the script for New Hope, people volunteered, and they broke, like 10 seconds at a time, filmed with what they could, and did their bit of the movie, and then they pieced the whole thing together to get the entire length of the movie. And some people, they used toys, some people used their kids, some people did stuff in, computers. So, and then there's, fan-made videos and parodies. There's the videos that just got released in the last couple of weeks where they turned Star Wars, and it's essentially a parody of Sergeant Pepper.
Yes. If you haven't listened to it yet, it is absolutely awesome. You will be humming that and be changing Sergeant Pepper's to some of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, even with Weird Al,
Yes.
I can't hear Lola
without
singing Yoda, the lyrics.
Yep.
So.
I do that all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No. Don McLean, it's a little easier for me to stick with the lyrics, but sometimes even then I find myself singing the Weird Al lyrics instead. So.
Yes.
Well, and here's the other thing: when that Weird Al song came out, I think a lot of like oldie stations started playing the original American Pie over and over and over again, to the point where my dad got sick of that song, and he actually likes that song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did, but now he's like, but then he'd be listening to his classic rock station, and they play that song, and he's like, oh, I'm so tired of this. Play something else.
Well, that was Weird Al he's a big Star Wars fan.
Well,
and
yes.
I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but that song, not Yoda, but the parody of American Pie, he wrote that before the first prequel movie came out, before Episode 1 came out. He wrote the lyrics for essentially talking about the plot line of the movie based on internet talk.
Well, it's not like
got it
they
right.
were really. It's not like they were really being secretive about the plot either.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, but you figure this is the internet then is not nearly as strong as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So he was basing that pretty much on fan speculation and rumor, and then I think that right before he had to finish up, writing the song and record it so it could go on the album and finalize the album, just to be really, really sure that he got it right, he paid like a couple grand to go to an early screening just to make sure that he got it right. So his lyrics, because if he did not want to get it wrong and have this immortalized on an album. So, that's dedication right there. So, props to Weird Al. And if you ever see Weird Al in concert, he always closes his shows with The Saga Begins and Yoda in full Star Wars Jedi robe regalia, him and the entire band, and then he usually has members of the local 501st and Rebel Legion come up on the stage with him too. So, he's a big fan. So,
to say the least.
Yes.
Yep.
And there's so much, like I said, there's a lot of fan made, stuff out there. Bad lip reading.
Oh,
there's
my gosh.
an
I have not
for
the
you.
future on my. I have not the future on my iPhone, and I just love listening to it over and over and over again. It's just a good song, regardless of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think we've mentioned the Piano Guys here before. Their video "Cello Wars."
Yes.
That actually started because on a different one of their videos, and I trying to remember which one it was exactly. Their post-production guys, just as a joke, put the lightsaber effect on the cello bow that Stephen Sharp Nelson, I think it was his kid, Stephen Sharp Nelson's son, said, he's like, Dad, you're playing with Star Wars or something, and it like gave him the idea to do that big Star Wars medley with the cello and have him playing against himself as a Jedi and a Sith, and one of the behind the scenes guys, well, no, two of them obviously, dressed up as Darth Vader and Chewbacca, and they did the whole like Death Star scene in it, and it was just like it just kind of came from that one little thing. and that every May the 4th they post that video and like, here, watch this video again because it's awesome. And like, yes, it is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. The Star Wars fandom is very, very strong.
Very.
And the good thing is the fans are very, very passionate about it, and thankfully for the most part, the cast has been very open about it. Some more than others. Obviously, Harrison Ford shied away from the Star Wars fandom for a long time until he finally realized, oh, it's not that bad.
No. Well,
it's okay to embrace this role that I did, which is good. Obviously the late Carrie Fisher, she for a while struggled really mostly with being the sex symbol. That was the big thing that she struggled with, and and she, the instant fame that came with it. She was very, very open about her struggles with drug and alcohol addiction and her mental illnesses. But she found a way to grapple her demons and really embrace the fans, actually maybe more than they wanted to be in some cases. If you're if you were not a fan of glitter and never met Carrie Fisher, you kind of had to grin and bear it. So.
Yep. Although one of my favorite things about Carrie Fisher, is in her book that came out right before she passed away, the Princess Diarist, and I listened to the audiobook of it, and she reads the audiobook, and I don't think it would have been quite as funny if I just read it, but having her in my eardrums talking about it, and like the towards the end of the book, she talks about going to conventions, and and after the title of the chapter is Leia's Lap Dance, and because there's a whole rationale behind why she calls it that. It's like because people bring cash and pay for autographs and things, so it's like so there's that whole thing. And at first there's some times where you kind of think like, is she being complimentary to the fans, or is she being critical and insulting? But like she goes through and makes sure that all these jokes that she's making about people, maybe so many years ago she would have been disdainful of them, but now she kind of realizes that this is like a really important part of these people's lives, and she embraces that with a fair amount of humor and different things, and telling some jokes. But it's just so cool to see her kind of even though these people are kind of awkward and nervous about meeting Princess Leia, and this is their childhood idol, she's like she just embraces the whole experience, and you can tell that she has nothing but love for these people who've come to see her just because of this one role that she took when she was 19 because she needed a job, basically.
Yeah.
And, as she tells it in the book, and it's just like it makes me sad that I never got to meet her, but I've heard so many cool stories about her, because she did come to Salt Lake Comic. Well, it's FanX one year. It was the one year I missed FanX. and she was up on stage and she's like, saying, I need a Diet Coke, or was it just a regular Coke? I don't know, something. And somebody had one in their bag, and they ran up to the stage and handed it to her, and she gave him a hug and a kiss, and it was just anyone else, it would have been really weird, but it was Carrie Fisher, so it worked.
Yeah.
When Princess Leia asks you for something to drink, you get her something to drink.
Yeah. Like, get this woman a Coke. And yes, she did the glitter thing, apparently. Heard all about that, and she passed away. People on the Comic-Con page were talking about all their experiences with her, and it was really endearing. And I was like, I had a reason for missing out on it that year, but I'm just kind of sad that I did. But.
Yeah. Well, I just know I heard, from other people, because she came to Indiana Comic-Con the same year that Jenna Coleman came. And I had heard from someone say that at one point she ran out of glitter and someone had to go out and get her more. Because she was not going to be without her glitter to be able to glitter 5 people. So. But
everyone needs their glitter.
Yes, especially from Princess Leia. Yeah, you would have to be you'd have to be a real stick in the mud to get upset because you got glitter bombed by Princess Leia. So.
Exactly. I mean, it might be a moment of shock a little bit because it's like
what just happened?
Princess Leia, she just glitter bombed me. Okay, I can live with this. Anger gone.
Yeah.
If it was there to begin, but it's like, this is so cool. She just glitter bombed me.
Yeah. Yeah. But the few, I guess, the some of the cast that goes to conventions, whether it's Star Wars Celebration or comic conventions. I watched a documentary on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there, but it follows a handful of folks who were secondary characters in Star Wars. They were X-Wing pilot, Blue 2, or whatever, or, random whatever, so they were someone that maybe was only on screen for a short while, and, for some of them, that's like the biggest thing that they ever did, and they go to conventions, and some fans are really excited to meet them just because they're excited to meet anyone who was in Star Wars, and then, in some cases, they're like, who are you? I guess there's a little bit of contention because of the people they were following. David Prowse is the most recognizable name. He was the body for Darth Vader. Obviously, James Earl Jones was the voice for Darth Vader. But he's very proud of the fact that he was Darth Vader. And he goes to conventions and does photos and autographs, and I guess he signs autographs. David Prowse is Darth Vader, and apparently the Lucasfilm and all that kind of frown upon that. So, and it's gotten him in a little bit of trouble with the higher ups. But it's interesting, because there's obviously there's Han and Leia and Luke, and everyone knows Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, but there's all these side characters, and not just like your Landos, but even more side characters than that, but they're still part of this very large, very, very rich world that George Lucas created.
Wedge Antilles.
Yeah. I mean, if it.
Well, a lot of the side characters actually have names, even if they didn't say it on.
Yeah, and George Lucas knows what their name is too.
Just look at Warwick Davis, Wicket. his middle name, Wicket's middle name, is Warwick.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes,
now I do.
I used to have the box. I still have my stuffed Wicket Ewok, and it was Wicket, Warwick, and I can't remember if they came up with the last name. It was Wicket, Warwick, Ewok.
Okay, then.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think it was Kenner that did the stuffed animals. So, yeah, infinite wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. And now with the, with the new movies that Disney is doing, we've got this whole new cast of characters. We've got Daisy Ridley as Rey, John Boyega is Finn, and even the stray Greg Gumberg who pops up every now and then.
Well, I mean, and look how many video games we have now. We got the Star Wars Lego. The Super Nintendo had all the three trilogies, and I
Super
think
Nintendo games are so good.
Yeah.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, well, even now, some of the apps. I mean, they got the Star Wars Lego for the app. There's Star Wars Pinball, which I do have. There's many different tables. And then there's even a, kind of along the lines of Doctor Who Legacy, a BB-8 gem matching game.
Oh boy.
Where you go through Jakku, and I am now at the planet where Han has to go to meet Maze.
Yeah.
I'm slowly working my way through that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's no shortage of, the continuation of Star Wars, whether it's really getting Star Wars Land at the Disney parks,
Disneyland,
and Disney World.
Parks.
Yeah, both coasts are getting Star Wars Land. We're getting a literal land where we can.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So
I mean, I remember the Star Tours ride.
Yeah. Well, it was
awesome.
crazy because it's like it was, Star Tours is a ride has been around for a while, but then they revamped it several years ago, and upgraded like the projections and the seats and everything and the ride system to make it more fancy schmancy, but then leading up to The Force Awakens, they've started doing, and at Space Mountain at Disneyland, where they've added new planets. And, some of the new planets, they added Jakku to Star Tours. And they did a whole Star Wars, hyperspace overlay for Space Mountain at Disneyland, leading up to, The Force Awakens opens, and you're getting, video clips with John Boyega as Finn. And I remember standing in line, I think for Hyperspace Mountain when Chauncey and I went to Disneyland. This little pre-show video pop up with John Boyega as Finn, and I'm looking at Chauncey like, I bet when John Boyega signed on for Star Wars, he had no idea that this was going to be part of the deal, being added to rides at Disney.
Of Disneyland. Have fun with that. I mean, I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was because when the first time I went to Disneyland with my family, repairs or renovations or something, I can't remember what it was, so I didn't get to go. So when Jared and I went on our honeymoon, I was adamant. I was like, I need to go on Space Mountain. I didn't realize at the time that it was, when I said that it had that it was Hyperspace Mountain for Star Wars. So and Jared doesn't really like roller coasters, but he said, well, I'll go on this one with you because he's adorable. And he just got a bad back. That's all. He walked in. I said that. Anyway, so we went and we did Star Tours a couple of times, but we did Hyperspace Mountain, and it was just so neat because I was like, I'd never been on it before, and there's the X-wings and there's the planets and all these different things, and I'm just like, it's just cool. I mean, it was I just enjoyed it, and I don't know, it was odd to me the first time that I realized that there was a Star Wars presence at Disneyland. I mean, this was, I figured that out a long time ago. But when Disney announced that they bought Lucasfilm, I was like, well, that makes sense because they have Star Tours at Disneyland.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. So it was just all worked out in my head. I was like, why didn't they do this sooner? Anyway, that was sort of a rambly tangent.
No. I mean, Star Wars has had a presence at the Disney parks long before I'm sure Disney even thought of plopping down, a couple $1 billion for the rights to Lucas everything. I mean, they used to have Star Wars weekends at the Disney Hollywood Studios in Florida, and they stopped doing those several years ago. But they'd have, meet and greets with some of the stars. Warwick Davis was a regular to that a lot of times. Ray Park, and he would do, his he'd always do a demo of his fighting style of everything that he did with his Darth Maul and all that, and they'd have lightsaber fighting tutorials for the kids and all sorts of things. And they stopped doing that, and then they've had for several years the Jedi Academy. And it's for little kids, unfortunately. I'd love for them to open it up to adults one of these years. But they
come on, you got to have some older Padawan.
I know you're never too old to become a Padawan. But they give them little Jedi robes and little kid-sized lightsabers, and they take on Darth Vader and all sorts of fun things. The Star Wars presence has been around with Disney for quite a while. It's just now that they own it, now they can do whatever they want.
Yep.
There's nothing holding them back, which, I'm I'm already like, Star Wars Land is supposed to open up in 2019, and I'm like, okay, that's all. That also happens to be the year of my 10th wedding anniversary. I'm like, okay, surely we can make these two things work together.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
I mean, it's Chauncey's favorite thing in the world, and I'm beginning to enjoy it. I'm working on a Star Wars-esque. Well, I mean, it is Star Wars, but it's not something that would get me into like the 501st or anything. It's not screen accurate, but a Star Wars themed cosplay that I hopefully will finish at some point. I don't think I'll ever be the big fan like Chauncey is, where he's got toys he's still got toys from when he was a kid, and he'll still buy toys every now and then when at a yard sale or whatever. And I bought him a nice like 12-inch figure of Lando in his disguise getup when they go to try to rescue Han from Jabba for Christmas one year. And I got him a Stormtrooper silicon oven mitt for Christmas last year. So.
Yep, you know what your hubby likes for sure.
Yeah,
I still think I have my indoor play set for the Ewok Village floating around somewhere, and I can remember the great big brouhaha when Robin Hood Prince of Thieves came out, because they released a play set for Robin's Hideout, and everybody's just like, wait a minute, that's just basically the indoor village play set remodified with a few things here and a few things there, but that's the same play set almost.
Yeah, he doesn't have. He's got a lot of figurines. He doesn't have a lot of the play sets. Unfortunately, most of the few that he had his parents did not keep. They did keep a lot of his stuff. I think for him, one of his holy grails is the Hoth playset. the Hoth base playset, and we've seen it at like antique malls, and they want an exorbitant amount of money for them, and sometimes they're not even complete, and they still want an exorbitant amount of money for them.
Oh boy,
yeah. I still have my Yoda fortune teller. From The Empire Strikes Back.
Someday, Holly, you and Chauncey, you're gonna have to compare notes and see who's got the most Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't do the novels or anything because he's not a big reader, but he does have some of like the more like encyclopedia type books. He got one. I think it was earlier this year that he had finally found one on like eBay at a price that he was willing to pay for, and it was a book that's been out of print for a while. That's got covers like every single planet up to like the point where it was printed, and talks about the location and the history and the types of life and all that.
I have that one floating around somewhere in a box. I think I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, so, I live with the Star Wars fan. Me, I'm over here like, BB-8! I love me some BB-8. I hope BB-8's still a meet and greet character when we go to Disney in December.
I hope he is
really
for
want to
you.
meet BB-8.
Oh, that would be so cute. Can you imagine him in a Santa hat?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He's so
that is too cute for them not to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I love meeting the Star Wars characters. A few I have met. I've met Chewie and Boba Fett and Darth Vader, but I really want to meet BB-8. So he's so cute, and you know, harkening back to all the way back when we were talking about, you know, the technology back in the 70s when Lucas was making A New Hope. You know, there's a lot of CGI now. But look at something like BB-8. He's a practical effect.
Oh yeah,
he's not CGI. He's a puppet. He's a working robot.
And I kind of think you know we were talking about how in 1970, late 70s, they were doing all this basically by the seat of their pants. Like, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try it anyway. And now filmmakers nowadays are like, let's do practical effects because they actually look good. I mean, there is still some CGI, but it's just like, Star Wars basically paved the way for that kind of thing to happen, and now we realize, like, CGI has its place, but you still have to, practical effects still really are.
Practical effects from way back when still hold up to
oh
today. I mean, some of the stuff on the Star Destroyer, or even when they're doing the run of the Death Star, some of that's pieces from model kits that would hold the main pieces together that they just glued here, there, and
it's just basically building sets that they said Legos, erector sets, and whatever Lincoln logs basically. Well, maybe not Lincoln logs, but I'm just trying to think of all those building sets that were popular. It's just like it's toys basically. And it is all very cool. Or, from the merchandising. I mean, Star Wars, we were talking about all the toys and the figurines and play sets and stuff. Like, I think Star Wars was really the first, I think it was really the first movie franchise to really, really get the whole, merchandising thing. And, that's why we have all these toys and figure sets and pop-up books and even just the books and extended universe and things like that, because they really got into the marketing for it, and that's why you have all this stuff. And now pretty much most movies have toys and things, even if it's not necessarily a kids movie. You still have stuff to market to them.
And if Disney knows how to do one thing, it's merchandising.
Oh, yes.
Merchandise.
Yes.
Spaceballs 2, the search for more money.
of Star Wars.
Yes.
Yes, there's a reason the merchandise scene is in Spaceballs.
Yep. The search for more money.
Money.
Spaceballs, the flamethrower. The kids love this thing.
Yep.
Oh, Mel Brooks, love him.
Oh yeah.
So I remember the time I was watching A New Hope with my dad and some of my friends, and my dad and I kept on quoting Spaceballs, and my friends had no idea, so we actually stopped A New Hope and put in Spaceballs so they understood what we were saying.
Yeah.
Like you need to know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to happen.
Jam.
Yeah.
Raspberry jam. There's only one person who uses raspberry jam. Lone Star.
Oh man! Speaking of parodies,
Yes, and the beeps, the creeps, and the sweeps. Yes, I've watched this Spaceballs a time or two. Yes.
Yep.
yep, they do need to do Spaceballs to search for more money.
They do.
Yes.
Do that while Mel Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed.
You can figure out a way around it, even if Rick Moranis is, semi-retired, mostly retired. So.
Yeah.
And obviously John Candy's not with us anymore, but
Yeah. Or Joan Rivers.
yeah, or Joan Rivers.
Because she did the voice of Dot, if I remember correctly.
They'd manage.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
can figure it out.
Anyway, holy cow! So much
I know.
Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Happy 40th Star Wars. We love you.
And here's to 40 more.
Yes, we'll be taking our grandchildren to the theater
Mm-hmm.
and saying, I remember seeing the special editions when I was 12 years old. Okay, Grandma, that's nice. Whoa, look at that! They made this one. They made this when Grandpa or when great Grandpa was a kid. Yep. Wow, how'd they do that? And they'll be on episode 120 or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness.
And hopefully by then we will know something of race parentage.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry, I couldn't help, but I think that's the $1 million question right about now. That and who is Snoke?
Yeah.
Anyway,
we kid, but it's all it's all
It's in good fun.
it's all yeah.
oh yes,
Love.
it always is.
Yeah.
Well, anything else we want to talk about Star Wars? I mean, we could sit here for hours discussing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, we've talked about Disneyland and merchandising and the novels and expanded universe and everything. And
Blue milk.
Blue milk.
Blue milk.
Oh yeah, because
And the C-3PO cereal way back in the day.
Yeah. I can hear Lou Mangello now, screaming at his at us going, they need to make sure that they have Admiral's snack bar in Star Wars Land.
Isn't that an actual thing? Like somebody made a restaurant or
Oh,
something that's Admiral's snack bar.
I think they did it as a pop-up at maybe D23 Expo a couple years ago.
I was trying to think. I'm like, that sounds like something.
Was their tagline, it's a wrap instead of it's a trap?
Yeah. Well, Lou,
like a
I know
taco
Lou,
wrap.
a snack, so.
It's a snack.
Yeah. Like, it's a snack. No.
Well, Anyway,
Yeah.
anything else, or have we?
I think we're.
Well, not unless Chauncey wants to add anything.
You guys still talking about Star Wars?
Yeah,
Oh, it's-
we're finishing up, but
Yeah.
yes.
Pushing up, but if there's anything you want to add.
Okay, speak now, or forever hold your peace.
I just love it when he talks to Q at Q Branch to get all the gadgets and everything. Oh wait, Star Wars.
Not James Bond.
Yeah. So what did you guys talk about with Star Wars?
Everything.
Everything.
Clone Wars and Rebels and the movies and everything.
Everything.
Oh, cool.
We talked it all Disney parks and everything.
Well, I can.
And-
I'll tell you what. I've been busy fixing Rachel's car, but I guess I'm gonna listen to this then, and then I'll just write feedback.
There you go.
There you go.
Awesome.
Although I have sort of issued a bit of a challenge for you and Holly, who's got the most Star Wars merchandise, because it sounds like you're in the running for the title.
At first, I was like, "Oh, I bet you Holly's got me beat." And then I thought about my office, and I remember my parents.
I think you might have me beat.
In the last few weeks.
It'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah, I guess I don't have that much. You know, most of it's just garage sale finds from when I was a little kid, and I had a pile of them my parents found recently, and I didn't realize I had so many. And my brother took like the other half of it too, so I don't own as much as I used to.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of kids that have that story, like, oh, I had so many Star Wars toys when I was a kid, and then, yeah, one day,
Well, you both
Mom and
play
Dad
with them,
cleaned
right?
cleaned out the room.
Up in a
and-
garage sale.
Yeah.
It's never really ever been said like who owns what. We all played with everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then parents are like, oh, you don't need this anymore. Let's sell it in the next garage sale or donate to the Salvation Army. And then 20, 40 something years later, you realize how much money those toys would have been worth.
I know. You look
Like-
on eBay and you're just like, oh man,
Yeah.
I had that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I found the problem on Rachel's car, which is a good thing. It was
Yeah.
a power converter.
Our listeners do not care about that.
Well,
You
I have to
didn't
go
have
down
to
to
run all the
Tashi
way to
Station
Tashi
tomorrow to get a new
Station?
one.
No,
So.
okay, well, yeah,
She didn't get it at first.
yeah, well, whatever. I'm tired.
I heard
Leave
power
me alone.
converter.
Her Nissan Altima has a bad motivator.
Yeah. Do you,
What are you trying to pull here?
yeah. You can play with your friends later. Anyway.
Anyway. All right.
My brain is
All right, listeners,
fried like
well-
a motivator on a bad R2 unit.
I'll write you guys feedback.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, we will await feedback.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, listeners, if you have anything you want to chime in on, could be about Star Wars, could be about anything we've discussed here on the podcast in news or in past episodes, whatever tickles your fancy, you can email us at fivishfangirls@gmail.com. And you can also go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com, and that has links to all of our social media, and you can leave comments on our Facebook page, tweet at us, Instagram, and we also have a YouTube channel, which is where we post this podcast every week. And we're also on iTunes, Stitcher, and the Google Play Store. And we also have we're on Patreon. If you want to donate to us, we also have some interesting news going on with our Patreon supporters that they've been able to see first. So if you support us on Patreon, you get to see those little updates before everybody else. So feel special, and you've probably seen them. And of course, we're always very appreciative of our supporters there, because you guys make this possible for us to podcast and broadcast it to the world. And we're so glad that you find us worthwhile enough to send us your money, and it all goes back into the podcast. But if you would like to donate to us, you can do so at Patreon, and you can also support the podcast by shopping through our Amazon store. And we get you, and that's all on our website as well. Click on to Amazon through our link, and do a small cut of that. You don't pay anything extra. Everybody wins, and everything is great.
Mm-hmm.
So, love you guys. Love all our listeners. Love all the listener interaction on social media and through feedback and stuff. So, keep listening. We'll keep podcasting and talking about all of our funness stuff.
Yes. It is.
That's the kind of witty banter that you come to expect from us, I'm sure.
It is, as Chrissy alluded to. Yes, if you are following us on Patreon, you do get announcements and news from us, usually first, and that includes a bit of housekeeping I'll throw in here now. But our Patreon supporters got to hear this first. But if you've looked at the calendar, you will see that we have a birthday coming up.
Yes,
Rather quickly here. The podcast is going to be turning 3. Yes. So, and I was racking my brains of like, what could we do for our birthday this year? Because we've done, giveaways in the past, and we've had like big fat shows where we've had like, everyone in the kitchen sink on all at the same time. And was somewhat inspired by actually Reddit recently just did a Ask Me Anything with Michelle Gomez, of all people. And since we don't quite have the technology to do a live call-in show quite yet, that's a Lou Mangello thing. But the next best thing is a Q&A with you listeners sending us your questions. So between now and the next couple of weeks, we'll actually record our birthday episode after our birthday, because our birthday falls right smack dab in the middle of the week. But you'll have a couple of weeks to send us your questions, and it can be anything. So if you want to ask us something fandom related, something about a TV show or a movie or a video game or something, or a book, you can ask that. If you want to ask us personal questions, you could do that too, within reason, obviously. We are reserving the right to ignore and or delete any questions that we deem inappropriate, so use your best judgment. You want to ask us something about the show itself. You got a question about podcasting or something. Ask us that too. But it's pretty much almost a free for all. So instead of an AMA, because that's singular, it's an AUA. So ask us anything. So we want you to send us your questions, and then we will answer those when we record our big birthday episode next month, in the middle of next month. So, and you can send us your questions however you see fit. You want to tweet us, you want to message us on Facebook, you want to email us, hit us up on Instagram, take whatever your preferred method of social media is. So, but I'm interested to see what kind of questions our listeners can come up with. So.
I know I'm a little nervous. 'Cause, I know you said that if it's inappropriate, we can opt not to answer it. But it's like, what are people going to ask?
Yeah. Well, hopefully they ask us something. So
yes.
Our listener base has been getting pretty good about being pretty responsive. I know that's could be a tough thing with podcasting, is you do a lot of talking, and if people don't comment or leave feedback, it's like, is anyone really listening?
Is anyone alive out there? Hello. And if you know what that's from, good on you.
So yeah, you've got some time. I will post all the info and the deadline and everything once in the show notes once this shows up. But obviously our patron supporters have already known about this because they're awesome and they get perks like that. So, but yeah, so that's what we're hopefully going to have happen for our 3rd birthday coming up here next month. So. Yeah. But that is exciting. I'm just excited to have us have another birthday. So. Always a fun thing.
It was like yesterday when you guys hit 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're getting old, guys.
No.
I'm teasing.
Yeah. It's
Alrighty.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, unless anyone has anything else, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Bill saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana.
May the force be with us all.
This is Chauncey from Indianapolis. Insert witty comment here.
Stop it now. Been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.